The Phoenix Suns have a lot of tricks in their bag in terms of ways that they go about getting Devin Booker and Chris Paul downhill in the pick and roll. And one of my favorites, particularly with Devin Booker handling the ball in pick and roll, is when they decide to set the point of their screens a lot higher than they typically do. And they usually do this, of course, against extended pressure on Devin Booker. Sometimes it's just a regular pick and roll. Sometimes it's out of their 77 double drag action. But I just feel like they should more consistently blend in these higher screens for Booker because it helps for him. It helps to alleviate the pressure because it gets him downhill quicker. And without having to work as hard if the screen is set and they get just enough contact on it. But even more than for him, the way that it compromises the defense behind the point of the screen is where, and of course it depends on what coverage is being put forth from the defense, but it just helps for him to compromise that defense that much more and put him in positions to getting downhill, obviously getting to his pull-up, whether it's from three or mid-range, as I've spoken on a lot lately, or from the also play make out of it. And there was just a couple of reps from the game against the Oklahoma City Thunder that stood out to me. So I want to just dive into those and kind of look at some of the options that he has outside of the decision that he does make in converting and putting points on the board in each of these three reps. So let's go ahead and dive into those real quick. All right, this first one, you see the point of the screen is at the logo, and he's able to get into one of his patented mid-range pull-ups, get into his left hand, just below the free throw line. But we're going to take this one back and zoom in a little bit more. So if there's a circle on the inside of the Oklahoma City Thunder logo for the jump ball, that's where the point of this screen is. And as he comes off of it from Landale, and Landale does an excellent job here getting into that lower leg of Gilgeous-Alexander and really stagnating his navigating of that screen and almost completely discarding of him. And look at the pressure that puts subsequently on Dario Saric, who's obviously not the most quick of feet or laterally. So as Devin Booker even loads up to come off, he's immediately an emergency in terms of retreating, almost like a free safety would in football. If there's like a cover three and he's deep downfield, he's almost turning and bailing before Devin Booker's even threatened his leverage to that extent. And that alone speaks to just how important it is for them to continuously blend in screens of this nature to just help him free up in the half court, and then obviously compromise the back four defenders, which we're going to look at next as well. Because as he comes off of this screen, you see the hesitation here, and that kind of throws off the defensive timing of Saric as he gets into the pull-up. But look at on the second side here. If we look, we got Landry Shamet spotting up at the 4-point line. Because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being behind Jock Landale on this roll, in addition to the pressure on the paint that Devin Booker is putting in his half-court rep, and the obvious rotations and tagging the roller that they have to get into defensively, look at the options that Devin Booker has as we still frame it here. We got Cameron Payne obviously occupying the weak corner, the second side corner. But then also looking at Landry Shamet, these are two options that Devin Booker could most certainly hit if he wanted to. And those would generate either a +1 pass out of that or a wide open look off the initial pass from Devin Booker. And that's just one of the ways that they can counter pressure that they're putting on Devin Booker by just stretching the defense, not necessarily with the pass, but with the point of the screen, and then allowing for them to compromise the defense from there. And on this one, of course, he is a mid-range pull-up. All right, this next rep here is going to come late in the shot clock. We got 8 seconds left, and then we got Busy stepping in to set the screen for Book. Getting to his right hand this time. The point of this screen is at around the 4-point line, which, again, spaces the floor just enough, and then we're going to see the defensive dominoes fall from that as well. But this time it's going to be more so as Devin Booker creates for himself here because he's able to get into the snake dribble, attack Jalen Williams, and then get to this all-impressive left-hand finishes. He has a top 3 left-hand finish in the NBA, and I will speak that, especially among guards, I will speak that as loudly as possible. But the point of this screen, because it's so high up, and because Williams, he's not Saric, he's definitely a lot more capable and versatile of a defender and just a better athlete in general. But because of the point of the screen being so high up, it allows for Booker to threaten his drop coverage and then snake and cross over, all with enough space before the help can get involved. If this screen is set closer to the three-point line, the court is condensed behind it. But because it's set so much higher, you can see Josh Giddey is the low man here, stepping all the way up and off of Josh Okogie, of course. But because of the spacing set from the point of the screen, that allows for Devin Booker to manipulate and attack within it in a different way than he would had the screen been set a little bit closer to the three-point line. And he's able to just get into his bag, navigating as the ball handler. On this angle, you see him step in to eliminate the contest and rim protection. This is unbelievable, man. He's just so good. And again, just putting him in these positions, if you're Monty Williams and structuring the offense, if you just put him in these positions where the screen is set a lot higher, that allows for him to attack the varying coverages that teams are going to give him, and also attack even more so based off of what defensive personnel they might have. And as we speak to personnel and coverage, in the fourth quarter, of course, they went to double teaming and showing the recover on the small screens for Devin Booker against the Thunder. We're going to see here is going to be Giddey and show and recover. Devin Booker, knowing this, in addition to the screen, the point of the screen being, again, back at the logo as the first rep was that we broke down, is going to discard of Josh Giddey with contact legally by just driving into his shoulder, into his chest, and then using that as separation. Usually you would use this type of tactic to create space for a pull-up in the mid-range. He's using it to create space to then play out of, knowing that they're going to be double-teaming essentially for a high second as Giddey is showing until Dort can navigate over. And again, a great job at the point of the screen as well as setting the screen from Torrey Craig. But all of that from Devin Booker allows for the Suns to then play 5-on-4 as Giddey has to recover and get back into the mix. So Devin Booker does a good job getting into the chest of Giddey, discarding of him, and then hits the roller on the spray. And now they're able to play advantage basketball. As you see the defensive rotations coming into the mix of them trying to sink in and collapse the court. In addition to this great screen, in addition to this great cut, from Ish Wainwright to put pressure on that back line to make them hold their positions, all of that adds up to Chris Paul getting a wide open catch and shoot opportunity here at an important moment in the game, and he knocks that down. A lot of these little things that the Suns can get in terms of their half-court offensive process, especially even with Durant back in the mix when he is back on the floor, but those minutes when he's not on with Devin Booker, little things like having a point of screens being set a little bit higher allows for Devin Booker to attack, compromise the defense in a different manner, but also would allow for the rollers and the shooters to play in better space as well, as we've seen in these reps. And that's something I would like to see from them, even more so moving forward.